Yay. And it will say, we're live.
Dun, 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 dun,
Dun,
dun, dun,
dun.
dun.
Beautiful, beautiful. So welcome, you all. Welcome back to this incredible series where we are literally anchoring heaven on earth. So next to me here, this beautiful goddess next to me just popped on. I literally just met her, you guys.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're
I was
good.
I was going to the YouTube. Okay, sorry. You
You're
said on
good.
your phone.
So the I just met her, and already like I'm feeling like the vibration of giggles and joy, and I've kind of had a heartbreaking day. I've been in heartbreak. I don't fight emotions when they come up. I know it's partly collective and partly my inner child just healing,
Yeah.
wanting that security, wanting that safety, wanting that somebody to hold me and say it's going to be okay, baby. Um, and I'm here for you. I'm here with you. So I've been going through that as I am that person for people in my life, for my kids, and kind of going like, what is it? And it's been tight and it's been good. So I'm just gonna be real with y'all. Like, this is what's happening for me today. Very different from yesterday. Kind of hit me last night. And I've just been in acceptance, right? Like, this is it. This is a healing opportunity. This is a beautiful opportunity. This is an opening opportunity. And then I get on the phone with Valerie 10 minutes ago, and it's like, she's speaking light language. And if you haven't experienced that before, I hope that you will. And she's opening these things up and these channels up to my galactic self. And if you listened yesterday to Catherine and I now know the difference between my physical yes and no, and my soul's yes and no, and my galactic soul's yes and no, and my source soul yes or no, and
Yeah.
the integration of all those. So this is definitely the tingly in the like back of my throat galactic soul that's opening up that I so needed. So I'm already so grateful for you, Valerie, for showing up and
Oh, thank
being
you for having
you.
me.
Yes. And I'm really excited. So as always, you guys, I don't know. I don't know what is happening during this series. I just know that it is supposed to happen. And I know that it's beautifully fallen into place in amazing ways. Valerie was brought to me by Honey and Michael. Um,
Yay.
yes,
Hi, honey and Michael.
Honey, Honey and Michael are my dear, dear friends. Honey and I go way back 2011, 2010, maybe 2011, definitely 2012. She was on a beautiful summit of mine. She's been to my house. She's done a lot together. And so I really, really trust her and trust her in a knowing of my mission and me and my heart. And she said, Valerie, like Valerie, and Valerie was like, yes, I'm in. And so I'm trusting this to be a divine meeting as it is. And with that, Valerie, I would love you to introduce yourself to them, to me, to take the floor to share your experience of being embodied, right?
Yeah.
Like, one of the first things she said to me, you guys, was I'm kind of in the galactic right now, and I'm like, this is a show about
Yeah, I've been busy.
embodying on earth. And I think yesterday was perfect for that, because we can integrate in
Yeah.
all of it. We can be in our galactic selves, we can be in our soul self, we can be in that higher state of consciousness and completely be on earth. And I think that that's what is happening and has been happening since
Yes,
2012,
for
is
sure.
this anchoring of this complete awareness, this 60-70 awareness.
Yeah.
You can say 5D if that's how far you want to go. I'm going 8D. So be honest there. All right. Anyway, thank you. Go
Yay.
for it. You.
Thank you so much for having me. What a great update. And I've been working with Hani. We're total sisters, so we're very similar. We align on many different levels with the galactics and the light language and just everything, really. So love her
Yeah,
and
sure.
Michael and what they've been doing. And so, you'd mentioned 2012, and that was a big year for me. And, just a little background, I was already, a healer. I already had an awakening, I guess, in 2004 with Reiki and Akashic records, and started to really open that. part of me, mostly for my own, my own journey of I was really successful. I have a background in business and technology. I started a .com. So I have a very different background. Um, I always knew I was intuitive, but I wasn't actually applying anything until 2004 is when, I was kind of looking like, well, what's next? And that's when I took a Reiki class and it just opened up this whole window. So
I
I
think
was
Reiki did that for so many
right.
of
So
us.
for everybody, it's totally the
When did
gateway drug.
I'm trying to think of like what year I started doing the Reiki. I remember I was in California, so it had to have
Yeah,
been like 2000, 2001.
that's where I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So
Strong, amazing work. I think most,
yeah.
if not all, of our speakers are Reiki masters.
Oh, how funny. I think like that's the opening, right? That was the
It is a beautiful
most. It's a
opening.
great
Yeah.
opening. It's
Yeah.
you can skew it any way you want, right? So if you're religious, you can skew it one way. I think it's just such a generic, not generic, but it also it's been around for so long. So I think it
It's a
really got
science.
into it got into the
It's a
collective
science.
consciousness. It's a science,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then so I started that journey, opened up to the Akashic records onward in my remembrance of just my soul's remembrance. And then that I just kept
So for those
going.
who might not know what Akashic records are,
Oh, let me turn that off. Yeah.
I don't know if there is, but there must be somebody who's like, Akashic what? That's going to listen to this, because I normally wouldn't ask that question, but it's
Oh,
like
okay.
came through totally
I'll write
clear. Um,
um,
you can answer what they are.
oh, okay. So so the Akashic records, so Akasha means ether, space, sky, right? It's essentially record of everything, everybody, every soul's journey. It's also there's records for different species. So for humans, plants, animals, planets, the solar systems. And so the records contain all of that data, and a lot of the information is stored in this field, which of course many call the quantum field. So Akashic records started to become, it's really an energetic field that all of us are connected to. And our ancestors, this was normal for them. The ancients, we're the modern day mystics started kind of reconnecting to this field in the 50s. And then it moved into what people know as quantum physics. And so we kind of have science and technology, and it started to come together about 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So essentially it's the record. And so when I remembered in 2005 the Akashic and this method called Akashic field therapy, I just had
Mm,
to take it, and it was an instant remembrance of, oh, wait a minute, I think I have a connection here. So really it's just a blueprint
beautiful.
for everything. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So,
a great way to explain it. I
oh, good.
love, I'm so happy I didn't follow through and like explain it myself. Um, because I love how you tied it all together with the sciences. I think that's so important, especially as an introduction. Like it
Yeah.
isn't as woo woo. Like so much of the stuff that people think are woo woo is just really quantum physics. Is
It's all
really
numbers.
basic numbers
Yeah.
and science. It's just understanding time, space, and
Exactly.
and really opening up to that. So
Yes. Yep.
thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
So you went through your Reiki into your Akashic records.
Yes.
You're creating this beautiful web and weave
Yes.
of your talents. And and today what is coming through for you?
So, as many of us back in 2011, I started to feel a pull. I had taken 2 years off. I had become a mom. I got married. So I did all the normal 3D stuff. And then 2011 started showing up, and I could feel there was a pull and something was going to happen. So 2012 was my grand reawakening, I guess. And that was just like an explosion of, Pleiadian and Arcturian and all sorts of energetics that I hadn't really had any awareness of prior to that.
Mhm.
So I got the big wake up call to, I guess, this purpose, which I'm currently still on. Many
Yeah.
of us got that greater, which was, basically the divine feminine,
Yeah.
and the call to step into that empowerment,
Hmm.
and also to understand what is happening on planet Earth, which was for me a 2012 7-year cycle. The 7-year cycle, which really launched in the end of 2012, and moving into this ascension, the plan that we're in right now, what has
Yeah.
happened over the years. And so I've been very actively working on that since 2012, since Gaia introduced herself one morning on my back porch. And I'm like, oh, hi,
Hi.
hi, Gaia. What's
How are
up?
you?
Hi,
Yeah.
what's up? And then everything just took off, and my, connection to the galactic, to the Pleiadians, a lot of energetics, a lot of messages were coming through. It was overwhelming, I'll be honest. It
Yeah.
was like all day, every day. My husband's like, what the hell's wrong with you? What happened? I had a 3-year-old. I was so obsessed and so pulled. It wasn't like I had a choice, necessarily.
I
Although I
miss it though. Like I haven't had it for a bit.
Oh, okay, the
Yeah,
connect.
yeah, I went on the anchoring path. So I was
Okay.
very, very strong for many, many
Yeah.
years. And then I went on the anchoring path, I think in like 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And it shifted and it's been very hard for me. So anyway, if you guys are noticing me
Ah,
tearing up, it's like,
I
oh, I'm feeling that
know.
right now, which might be part of the
Oh,
heartbreak that I'm having because I
yeah,
haven't
I
like
understand.
been floating and astro traveling to the meetings. Every once in a while I do, but it's rare compared to my
Oh,
previous lifetime or life, like in this lifetime, like in this body.
yeah. Yeah, I totally understand. And honestly,
So I think this is probably what
oh,
I was feeling. Like I
oh,
don't got you. Oh, it is totally because I don't
oh,
like I want to just be held and be gotten. And
yeah, I understand. This has been such a roller coaster. I
it's
mean,
it's hard when you don't understand. So if you've
yeah,
had, maybe I'm just witnessing this for you guys, like if you've had these
yeah,
galactic experiences, these supernatural experiences, I believe I've had different ones. I've had galactic supernatural experiences, and I've
yeah,
had like Jesus,
yeah.
God,
Christ
source,
consciousness, Christ. Oh,
galactic experiences, right? That
uh-huh.
aren't galactic. They're very different, you guys. Um, for most people that I've
Yeah,
talked to, they're different frequencies, different energies, different
yeah.
dimensions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Um, galactic for me, and please like share for you. I think this is a beautiful conversation, but for me, it's very much home. It's
Yep.
very much home. It's very much, um, it's just another lifetime.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
not God's source. It's just another. It's it's another culture.
Yeah. It's
It's
just
it's
another
another culture,
reality.
another time frame.
Uh-huh.
And for me, I'm Syrian,
Okay.
serious,
Yes.
and many lifetimes underwater. I was there to save Lemuria. When I
Oh,
got
that's
here.
why. That's why.
That's when I got here, and I've been serving mainly on this plane since
Uh-huh.
that time. I decided to stay and work in the Christ consciousness,
Okay.
and and yeah. Oh my gosh. Like you just like nailed it on the head for me. Like I just want that hug. I want to be in my circle of light. I want to like have that opening, and I've been not allowed to really.
I can feel that in my heart.
It's
It's a
right here.
machnai kotai marotai mapakatame machdoe nai yam koa machane naratai kamahacho shahasa vishtovani tampotane torande tamarotai atake atai me lahandorotai taketai esamorotai samarotai tikama noe mahotai va hatai kotai isamane ishnamarotai nato tamea mohatai marotai shamborotai sabortai taki dahato va hana nachto nya mo enai tama tamorotan maeta.
Mm. Like unlocking that awareness for everybody listening,
Yep.
unlocking that awareness that
Mhm.
that yeah, there's aliens, everybody.
Well, it's us. I mean, that's the funny thing. It's,
And there's not at the same time. Like we're
yeah,
galactic souls. We're
yeah,
created by one God. There is a source creator,
yeah,
and we have omnipotence. We have
yeah.
souls,
Hmm.
and we've lived on different planes, and we've lived in different galaxies, and we've lived in different lives. Many people
Yes.
are not simply human, right?
Yeah.
Even though our physical bodies, our mental bodies, our emotional bodies, and our etheric bodies are human, and we
Yes.
have a soul contract that
Hmm.
part of our soul is human, or at least this is my understanding.
Yes, you're
And
doing good. I'm
I
nodding.
would like to leave room for interpretation with
I'm
everybody.
well, I'll add anything. I'll add,
And
I mean, my side or
but
just what
we have these origins and this religionation, and many souls on this planet, especially today, I think, weren't born originally. Their soul wasn't incarnate. The first light spark of your soul in the beginning of time um, wasn't on this plane. And sometimes we know where it's from,
yeah.
right? And other times we don't. And sometimes people come straight from that plane and they look almost Pleiadian, or
Oh,
they
yeah.
have this like these features and stuff. And it took me a long time because I came through the Pleiades, and my soul kept saying, "You came through the Pleiades, you came through the Pleiades, you came through the Pleiades." And
Hmm.
I was like, "What the fuck is through the Pleiades?" And I did. I jumped from Sirius to the Pleiades
Hmm.
to here to
Yeah.
Lemuria, right? To
Yeah.
save Lemuria, to dive down and
Yes.
like scoop it
Yeah.
up and save
Yep.
people, to swim.
Just
But I was always a swimmer. I had both my, and like, I'm obsessed with the ocean. I came from a family
oh,
of ocean people. I
yeah.
gave birth to my kids in the pool in my house, right?
Yeah.
I I want to live by the ocean, but I'm just looking at it and it's fucking Alaska. It's not the right ocean, but this is where I'm at.
Oh, I'm by the ocean, so
I am, well,
I'll just, yeah.
good for you. You could swim in the ocean. Enjoy
I
your
am also
sun.
Lemurian, so that's
Are you?
why yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So it's like it's this beautiful journey, right? That
Yeah.
my soul remembers, and I came into this lifetime remembering, right?
Mhm.
And and it's been so like normal for me
Yes.
that it's not cosmic or like wild or anything. And when people think I'm crazy, I'm like, how do you think I'm crazy? Like I can't prove it, and I don't care to.
Well, I think that's important, but that was really beautiful. That was really well said, and it was really well articulated because it isn't really something you can explain. I mean, it is something you can talk about, but ultimately people have to feel it. They have to be able to connect it into or embed into their human experience or other experiences they've had. So I think that has been a big piece of it, especially in 2012. We were talking earlier about, this goddess show that I was told to start. It's like, I forgot what it's called right now, something with a goddess, but um no. Anyway, um we're avatars. I've been saying this for a little bit, not, this is wanted to come through to remind people, just like the movie Avatar. That's what we are. We've agreed to come and be on Earth, and 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 essentially do or facilitate or mediate, whatever words you want to use, variety of different things here on this planet.
Mhm.
Um, incorporating our knowledge and our remembrances from other planets, other places, other realities, other timelines, other soul remembrances, so many different pieces. And so there's many things, as we all know, that are all now coming together on this planet, and we're seeing it right now. We're seeing the actual, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, prove it. Nothing looks different. Like, okay, how about now? How does it look now? You guys seeing
Yeah.
something different? Because ultimately, a lot of this work, quote, work has already been done years ago. Many of us have been doing this and, waiting for the right frequency. I wrote that in my post this morning. It's not about time, right? So people that love like give predictions, which I don't really like to do, although I'll say certain things, but it's not about an actual calendar linear time, because we work multi-dimensionally, or non-linear is more of a clinical or scientific word. So the non-linear aspect is we're working in all these different timelines and all these different realities right now. It's all happening right now, right?
Mhm.
So when we're
So it is this
ready,
integration of
yeah,
all those parts that Catherine went over yesterday
yeah,
that you're showing today.
yeah,
It's really about integrating and not denying any of it, or the possibility for it. And I think when the fear comes up,
yeah,
which we're all getting to experience and recognize how we process our own fear with this epidemic, or how we don't process it, or what
mm-hmm,
it looks like, or how comfortable we are with it, right?
mm-hmm,
um, when it does come up, when this resistance, this fight comes up, it's
yeah,
like that tells me more than anything there's a truth there,
yeah,
right? there's
yeah,
there's a there's something that I'm missing. And
mm-hmm,
when we feel like we have to argue and fight, even politically, argue and fight and argue and fight and argue and fight, like
yeah.
it's just not the point.
Defenses. So defense
Right.
posturing is what we call it in the Akashic, because the work that I do mediates between the subconscious and the
Mm-hmm.
conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So when there's a defense, I'm being told to talk about this because um, a lot of,
That's where we're going.
yeah, because if you think about the traumas are in our individual experiences, then also the collective experience, when there's a trauma that occurs, if it's not resolved, it then starts to create certain patterns of behavior that keep it safe, right? We're part animal. And this is the animal nature, which is the root chakra, which you mentioned, safety, security, survival, tribe. Okay. So on a collective level, our root chakra, our connection to the planet, has been very traumatic in many different ways and many different lifetimes and cycles. So if you look at the cycles on Earth and for humans, most of it's been traumatic, regardless of what's actually happening. Even going back to Sumeria, if you look at those texts, talk about slaves. So they had slaves back then. It's like, okay, so we started out as kind of a slave society. And however you wanted to, look at it now, this has been about freeing essentially the human race from either actual slavery, which is happening now, emotional slavery, right? And just the remembrance of this cycle that we've been running for thousands of years. I mean, in reality, that's what's been happening. So many of us agreed to come here in this time and space and insert, right, our realities, our frequency, our codes, whatever you want to call it, into this not space time now, because we know we can see what's potentially going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? So whether you think you're from the future timeline, which many of us are, you you can see that many of us came in, agreed to come in for this purpose. This is a mission, a very important one. All humanity is very important. It's not like one person is more important than the other. All of us. And I've said this before, if it doesn't work for everyone on earth, it doesn't work. We can't just install systems for some people. That's already been happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this really is a grand freedom. It is a peace and freedom mission for a lot of us at the highest level of why we're here, and also to evaluate what has been, running on Earth, the systems, and where those needed to be updated or upgraded. And so myself and many others have been working on technology, bringing in processes, which I call galactic software. They're essentially, technology is supposed to assist us, not take over our lives or control us. That's not the goal. But if you look around, so many of our processes are very manual. It's like we're still in caveman days in a lot of things that we do. So how can we, and I know there's been a lot of fear about technology, AI, whatever. I get it and I understand why. So we have to really decide together how we're going to really bring in things that can help us in our day to day so we can focus on other things. Humans are much more advanced than we've been led to believe. And many of us who have been activating ourselves and others understand how powerful we really are.
Yeah.
So this is the key for everybody, is to understand that and know that you're not just here for no reason, right? It's that one meme, you're not here just to pay bills and die. That's a
Right.
very old system. And so we
So
really, right? Does that make sense?
yeah, it
Yeah.
totally does.
Oh,
And
good.
where it leads me, and it's like what I got this morning in meditation too, that I didn't even remember until it like hit me right here. When you said activation. So maybe we'll do an activation.
Yes,
But
I'm
but
open.
also like I don't know how to ask this because I'm feeling it. But well, what isn't it like? You probably know I don't do much activations.
Okay.
So I think what I'm getting at is I know that like everything there is, I know how I experience them, right?
Mhm.
But if I worked with people, I'd know how they experienced them differently than how I experienced them.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm wondering if you would explain some of the common ways that people can receive activation
Mhm.
and know that they're being asked to
Mhm.
take part in an
Mhm.
activation, find that
Yep.
clarity, and then how it might affect them afterwards to know that they actually did open up to receive it. So those
Mhm.
are three questions
Mhm.
in one. Um, but I think that's really important for the audience to understand.
Okay. Yeah, those are really good questions. And I mean, I'll share from how things started happening for me. As I said earlier, I was already very connected, intuitive, working in the records before all this happened. So I had a very high level of trust in my own intuition and also just my own, um, you know, emotional body, astral body. I was already connecting on many levels. So I'll just say
Mhm.
that because once 2012 hit, I could just feel and receive. I started receiving different information. Different guides started talking, and so I was already clairaudient, clairsentient, all the different clairs. Not that I can see like a person. That's not really my thing, but I can
Yeah.
feel it. I can feel frequency. I'm very sensitive,
Okay.
right? And so with Reiki, as you know, you just start to get a sense of what's happening, and I could feel someone's body and emotionally what was going on. And so it just moved into just trusting what was coming through.
Uh-huh.
Um, and also, again, my own remembrance in the Akashic records of who I was and what I had done. So I had already had that. And so, you'll know when you're supposed to feel something. And this is where the pineal gland, the activation I talked about earlier with
Mhm.
the telepathy,
Mhm.
just the feeling. And so for me, it's a feeling, it's a knowing, and then it's a trust of, okay, this is what's coming in and I'm supposed to be receiving this, just in the
Beautiful.
sense that people talk about,
So if
you
somebody
know
has never experienced
yeah.
that before, and maybe don't even have, like, we've been talking about trust a lot on this series.
Okay.
Might
Yeah,
not even,
that's they
they're just developing that internal trust. And it
yes.
might even sound a little scary and a little woo-woo, like, um, you know, like that's just
Synchronicity wanted to be talked about.
right. So what
Synchronicity.
might they expect? Yeah.
So everybody has synchronicity. Yeah, and it doesn't, it doesn't matter who you are, what level you're at, if you don't believe in anything, right?
Yeah.
But synchronicity is that frequency. It is those dimensional realities. It is, you in another dimension, however you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So pay attention to those. That's the easiest way. I'll say meditation, any kind of mindfulness activity is
Mm-hmm.
important because when your mind is quiet, when the mental plane is silent, you're
Mm-hmm.
able to feel and receive. So
Yeah.
people will, wake up from meditation and write a bunch of notes. Well, that's information for you.
Yeah.
That's important for you to pay attention to, right?
Right.
And I think again, it's a pull, it's a feeling. The more that you're connected to your feeling emotional body,
Mm-hmm.
so just looking at the different bodies, the
Mm-hmm.
more you're able to discern what's coming in, discern information that's meant for you. And it's
Yeah.
a good question because people would ask me this all the time when I was on the table doing a session. And I would ask when I first started, is this for me or is this for them? Who's this for? And
Yeah.
so I got very good at discerning who the message is for. Is it, for me, them?
Yeah.
Um, right. And I used to use a pendulum, and that's when, a little, I don't have one currently, but
I
when
don't
I
have
first
mine around
started,
here,
yeah,
but
and that's a great way
yeah,
if you want to get, that's a very
a little necklace you can put
well
it
used
there.
tool. Yeah. So
Yeah.
any that you could use anything, and that's a scientific tool. They use, dousing in earth. And so
Yeah, I
that's
was gonna say the rods, the
yeah,
dowsing
the
rods
dowsing
to
rods,
find
exactly.
water and
Yeah,
gold and right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
beautiful.
So that's a great way if you're starting out and don't, understand, learn how to use a pendulum. There's tons of stuff online. And at one point, you might not need that. When I do Akashic Records work, I do work with students, and some of them use a pendulum. It's just easy, right? Until you have a confidence. It's all about confidence, just like anything.
Yeah.
It's experience
It's
and
something that you
yeah,
develop, right? Because we
yeah,
do
of
have to
course,
bypass our our etheric body, which is a little bit more open to it,
yes,
a little bit more woo woo, right?
yeah,
We have to bypass our emotional body, which can get totally freaked out. And there's, especially if a lot of light is coming in, you're like, what is this at first? Then you have to bypass your mental body, which is like, is this demonic? Is this, right? And all the
demonic.
stories that we have been told and programmed. You're like,
Oh yes,
and then there's the physicality of the shifts and the changes that could very well happen,
yeah,
and many blessings through this.
yes,
So I want to dive right in, and
yeah.
because that jumped off at me this morning,
Hmm.
the pituitary, pineal, um,
Pineal.
the pineal, which interacts with the pituitary. Everybody, they work together. But
Let me go see what I wrote.
but you said let's activate it today. It's the day,
Yeah, let's
right?
do it.
And so I'm like, there's a lot of people, especially in this day and age, where we have fluoride in our water, and we have,
Yeah.
just crap food, and we have this programming, and we have cell phones up to our ears and everything.
Uh huh.
And your pineal is literally, it's the coils that let you talk to your supreme self, your higher self, your source self.
Mhm.
And if you don't know, and it gets calcified when we have fluoride in our water, when we have chlorine, when we're eating shit food, when we have too much sugar,
Yep.
um, when we're smoking, drinking, whatever. And although people will argue with the smoking, depending on what you're smoking, I guess. We'll see.
Exactly.
I don't know either way.
Ceremonially.
But there's when it's clear, you can clear it. You can clear it with its own power from within.
Yes. Mhm.
And that's when you have this opening to really ground heaven to earth. So
Yeah.
when you said that this morning, I was like, yes, let's do it. And then I was like, what did I just say? And then I was like, how did that happen? And yes.
Well, you just know, and that's what I'm trying to, we're you just know. I mean, if you're tuned in, you know what you're supposed to do. This is where the meditation or again, this is the most important piece, to have that space to tune out all the noise. It's such a much noise right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the important aspect if you're wondering what to do or how to get started or what have you. It's really just to sit in silence, It's to be, just to be. There's nothing to do necessarily. It's that level of beingness that we're all asked to embody, which is what you talked about. So all this information, all these codes, they're great, but if they're not embodied fully, if they're not fully integrated into day to day, which I know can be challenging, this has been it, challenging to mediate the dimensions and function and then, interact with your neighbor who might not be there and be able to hold that space. And so many of us have been doing that. And more are coming online. I think this is the biggest awakening we're having right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. This is this time and space that everybody needed to stop the busyness, to sit, right? Just to contemplate, maybe to turn to other things besides what they're doing. And it really is the inside aspect. As we expand inside, we affect our environment. And I've seen this so many times with the Akashic work. When I've worked with somebody and they've shifted their own internal dialogue, their own record, their own, aspect. Hi. That's what we talked about. Okay.
Yeah. Opening sequence for the 4-4 gateway starts today.
Yes, it does. And
So
that's
I
why I've
guess you
been
need to
busy.
explain the 4-4 gateway.
Okay.
Update to pineal gland and increase
Yeah.
telepathic abilities. Tune in.
Yeah, so tune in, tune internal. 4-4 is an important gateway. It's a galactic gateway. Gateways.
We have a lot of really great friends in
We
common.
do? Oh, cool. Of
Oh, yeah.
course. No
How
wonder
come
we're
not?
talking.
We're friends with Anna and Kimberly and Honey and Barry and Daniel and Anthony. Those are
Yeah.
just the ones on the top. Yeah, man.
I've been around, girl.
Okay. Sorry, you guys. I'll get off Facebook now. But I want to find that post. So the 4-4 gateway.
Yeah.
The pineal, which is telepathic, which is this opening to knowing what you don't know that you don't even know.
The receiver, that's the receiver, right? So pineal as the more clear you're able to receive information, the more clear you can become on what it is, and then you're able to integrate it. So it is really that gateway. I'd see the receiver just like you tuning in a receiver to pick up a certain radio station. It's the same concept. You're just fine tuning, right? It's like, when you're on the, oh, it's clear. That's kind of the analogy that for me is a good visual because that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And again, the clarity, what's coming in, clear audience, right? Clear sentience, a knowing, a feeling. So the gateway is an opening. It's an alignment of the galactic center. It's an alignment, planetary alignment. This one is more of a galactic center alignment. I also, when I tuned into the planet, and Gaia is the planet, that's the spirit of this planet, and she told me that by 4-4, she would be done with her cleaning process. So that's what I was told. And I'm like, okay, cool. That makes sense. So gateways are chances for higher dimensional frequencies, it's really all frequency. Everything is frequency. We are frequency, she's frequency. Everything we eat is frequency. So it is a frequency modulation adjustment. And that's what, when I talk about the pineal, that's what's happening. It's a supercharge for that organ, for that, it's not an organ, it's a gland. So the energetic frequency to assist in opening that further is going to be happening. So the gateways open typically before the actual day. And so a lot of us are, working to mediate whatever's coming through, whatever information is coming through for that. And so we are like the radio towers. I say we're the walking ley lines. It's us. It's us individually. So as you open more aspects of your being, you're able to then take in more information, take in more energy, and then you're just like a walking, ley line, walking radio station, right? That's why we get called to different parts of the world. Because once you open up and activate certain aspects of your being, then you get sent to different parts of the planet, which is what I did 2017. So that was my move from galactic to Gaia and to inner earth, which I do a lot of work in that realm as well. So it was a shift of my purpose, which I wanted to say to you earlier. There's a big shift. So your purpose can change. You might be working one aspect, and then it changes to ground crew, or what your job or whatever you were supposed to do is done for now, right? But then you'll be called up later. So this is the high level of trust that's so important.
Yeah.
You got to really trust in whatever is going to happen is happening now, and it's happening for all of us.
Mhm.
And that's just, reminding you to trust what part you're on. And so I
Yeah.
could feel my journey shifting. I already knew it was coming. And this is where timelines come in. I talk about timelines a lot. And so we are on a ascension timeline, and these are agreed on constructs. Okay. The collective has to agree, which is my other post about choice points. We're an important choice point for humanity. What are we going to choose? Are we going to choose, aspects of our day to day that are not working, that have not really supported our, expansion as a species? So I do a lot of species work. I work in the whole species and the collective, and planetary. So it's been like macro, micro, and then I come into this space and time and see what I need to do here. So I work with many, many, many people on Facebook in different realities.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, a lot of us are having meetings at nighttime, and then we're connecting in the daytime. And it's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Nice to see you. So yeah, nice to see you in this reality. So I'm
Yes,
very,
I'm really
yeah.
feeling like
Did
this
that answer that
feeling.
question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anybody here to tell me if it did or not?
I'm looking at the other post. I did 2 posts today. That was one. So
Um,
this is just an awareness, if you're feeling something, right? If you're tuned in already. And so I do a lot of confirmations for people.
mhm.
And again, what comes through is meant to come through, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the way it is.
So,
Broadcaster.
so yeah, I just feel like that collective work of really anchoring this galactic awareness
Mm-hmm.
individually. Um,
I have some light language that's
yeah,
coming through.
like my intention with this is to really expand and awaken the souls. I work a lot
Yeah.
with souls. I anchor
Mm-hmm.
souls
Yep. I
into physical
understand.
body. And
Yep.
and so to anchor that galactic element of the soul,
Mm-hmm.
so we have this awareness and this opening and this acceptance to these new technologies,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can handle the 5G with no
Yep.
problem. I'll be really
Yes.
specific here, like that's what's coming up. I didn't really want to get into it, but
Well, it's
so
okay.
so,
It's a
so
frequency. I did talk about frequencies, so that was an
yeah,
opening.
so that 5G frequency doesn't affect us, right? Those that are listening and beyond, and that we can just raise up to that thing. And I really believe that it is pineal, and pituitary keeps coming up for me, so I have to like
Pituitary.
join into
Okay,
that
good.
little pituitary fluies.
Ah, okay,
Who are
good. Let
little
me.
our flutter wings that
Yeah,
are
the
pituitary,
pituitary.
which
Interesting.
is our hips, right? Which is our grounding, which is our root chakra.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, we are also, besides the pineal, the pituitary, we have been receiving, information as an just to update our DNA. So that for me
Right.
would be more pituitary, because as we, the journey has been for how many years? 7 years. Um, this journey started for me about 8 years ago, but for the timeline of, updating the planet, and with that, you've got to update the species, but you can't do it overnight. It's got to be in stages, which is why it's been a 7-year cycle, right?
Mhm.
Um, But frequency wise, again, going back to we are frequency, and we're holding more frequency in our individual bodies, and also collectively we're holding a higher frequency than we have, which is why these choice points are coming in. As I said on another post right after that one, is the disclosure is on many levels. It's
Mhm.
many levels. And also it's not just for Earth, it's actually it's for the whole galaxy and the other
Mm,
planets. This is another piece, is our relationship is it's changing. Our what we do down here affects the galaxy, it affects the planets, and the planets affect us. It's a very symbiotic relationship. It's
mhm,
not just one way, and that's another thing that I want to say, because that's what happens. We affect what happens in our galaxy, right? So you could say this is a holographic reality on Earth. We are on a physical planet, but we are not just physical beings. And the old saying of we're carbon to crystalline is very accurate,
mhm,
because carbon-based life forms, are are getting an upgrade, and we are one. We are one.
mhm,
Um, Itamartavantamanetach, shtohatsavartame tahotoe, napahotohatai marutai, ya mahotame nahatsava tohatai, chalotai mahotoe tarna ishta, ta mohotai mahoto, nya nae, hutash tatsawushta bartai, tai patai. I lachnai hatai mahata, a la pahato vahatai, itahatai mahata, tiam mahutoesh nane sava takutane nachtai, shama mahutushta vahitama, ki amama inena, titamba savo takata, kita, pa utama mahutushta varutame mahata.
I gotta itch it. It's like really good, get in there.
Get the wax out. So I just want to say that the language, I say I speak frequency, because I'm just vocalizing what's coming through. And I call myself a multidimensional translator, mediator, uh, frequencies. So I've been mediating since probably 2012. I had some huge, awakenings, as I mentioned, and just, overwhelmed by all of the different frequencies that wanted to come through me. So I had to kind of mediate and modulate my own universe and understand what was going on, which took me like a year. So
Mhm,
it wasn't instantaneous, but just understanding what was happening, what my part was, and I had to go through my own awakening and my own healing on many levels. So I had some healing that needed to be done, especially with the divine masculine. When I had the goddess come in and all this awakening, I was like, that, you know, all the rage came back with it. I'm like, oh shit, Egypt. Oh no, So a lot of trauma that I had sustained in my various remembrances also came with it, which I've said before. It's great to have these remembrances, but remember, it's not just the great stuff. You got to deal with like the other stuff, the karmic stuff, the shadow stuff. So it's been very intense journey, and at times, in that space. And
mhm,
so whatever you're going through, keep going. Just
mhm,
keep going.
mhm.
You
Yeah.
it's so different now than it was when I started. Don't you agree? Like 2004, just people having
I mean,
no
everything
idea.
had to fall apart multiple
Yeah.
times on multiple levels in my life.
Yep. Exactly. Right.
And it's
Me
like
too.
they just keep doing this, and every time I upgrade, I'm
Cycle.
like, and I'm risking everything, and okay, here it is.
Cycle.
I'm willing to
Cycle.
risk everything, and then things will fall back into place, and then they'll, I'm like upgrade again, and I'm risking
Upgrade again.
everything, right?
Yeah,
And it's
this
like,
is
who's gonna stay, who's gonna go, and
this.
what's gonna be, and who am I gonna be, and how am I gonna look, and what am I gonna relate to, and and some of it was quite traumatic. I mean,
Yeah, I've been there.
I lost complete relationships. I
Yeah,
lost careers. I lost
yeah,
my health when I was younger. But I just,
all of that.
yeah, it's just like
Tap,
hard
pat,
scrutiny, you
pat,
know,
oto.
like tons of stuff. And then I gained it all, right? And it's like, and I
Oh,
have yet to get to a place where I'm like feeling that security
yeah,
of home again, in all honesty. I keep
understand.
going through that cycle, and then it falls apart and my relationship shift, and I have to be
This is why I haven't
willing.
had one for a while.
Yeah, I have to be willing
Seriously.
to, no matter what, like me serving and me walking this walk and me
Yeah,
trusting that I'm here for this reason,
yeah.
um and that I don't have a choice, honestly. Like, it's not a cosmic human choice for me. If I did choose not to do it, I'd be in a lot of pain
Okay,
in order not
I'm
to do it.
I'm
But
glad you brought that up.
I've
Yeah, I
tried
want
to
to
take
speak on
myself
that.
out of the equation
Yes.
more recently, thinking that
Yeah.
I'd Picasso it. And I found out very quickly that I didn't even get the whole like big cosmic woohoo amazing shit like I used to when I was a kid. It was
Ah,
very boring, but it was very clear that no, your soul made an agreement. You're here to do this. Trust me, you know, like
yeah, trust.
trust
Yeah,
you, trust me, right?
trust
Trust me.
yourself. Trust,
Yeah.
yeah, this aspect and trust your other aspects, right?
And then just continue walking. But because I am a yes, God, yes, soul, yes, person to myself, I keep saying yes, and then keeps things upgrading and shifting. It's like, and I'm
That's what
always
they
like,
say. Just keep
and
saying yes,
after I've
right?
already said yes and I'm doing it, I'm like, and
Yes
this
again.
cost me this relationship, and that's this, and what,
Yeah, I get it. I've I understand.
yeah.
And that's been probably the most challenging piece is human relationships.
Mhm.
Because usually, I mean, most of them have been, oh, hey, we're running something out in this reality, and they're not always pretty. And, relationships are like the most powerful container for updates and
Oh yeah.
for upgrades. If you want to upgrade quickly, have some really heavy soul level relationships, not
Mhm.
heavy, but they're
Just
just
soul level,
really, they're
real, raw.
great
Yeah.
containers to practice mastery of self in this dimension. And that for me, it's been amazing. And I've had to, again, can you stay in detachment? Can you stay in a beautiful space of, hey, it doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter what happens, right?
Mhm.
Um, if you're clear on why you're here, that's important. And a high level of purpose is why many of us are still here doing this.
Mhm.
High level of purpose. If you know your purpose and you're with somebody who also knows their purpose and you're clear, that is the most important piece for me. And a relationship that I've had since 2012, the man that came into my life to have this big awakening with, we're still as clear as day of why we're here and who we are and what we're doing. It's been
Mhm.
8 years. Eight
Beautiful.
years. Yeah. And we
Yeah.
might not see each other or talk to each other, but we know why we're here. And that is the most important. If you're with somebody and you're not on purpose, where their purpose is different, that is, and it can change. And know when your purpose is over with somebody, right? This is important as well. Some people come in just for one bit of information and then they're gone. So the
Mhm.
attachment to the relationship, the attachment to things, it's present moment awareness, right?
Yeah.
Stay in this moment because things are changing every day.
Every day.
And that's why like timelines and dates,
Agree. You
yeah, you
say
can't put
yes.
dates in anything.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. I mean, I have an idea, and sure, we have like I can feel, right? Okay, 4-4, something's happening. 4-1, something's happening. Today, something's happening. I'm
Mhm.
just tuning into the frequency of right now. Now that could shift, right? But it ultimately doesn't really matter because collectively, choice point, right? We're like, okay, we're all in. Oh, we're not ready for that. Okay, let's come around again in that cycle you were talking about. Are we ready now? Right? Okay, are we ready now? Crap, I think we're ready to love each other. Look what's happening in our planet. Now I care about my neighbor. Now I care about my community. Now I care about, the worker who's stocking the shelves
Mhm.
because they're really important right now and nothing else is important. So we really have had a very big reality check. And for me, I've talked about flattening the hierarchy for a long time. How do you
Mhm.
flatten the hierarchy? This is how you flatten the hierarchy. The
Mhm.
hierarchy. We're all the same. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have, the power you have, the status you have. All that means nothing. Means
Yeah.
nothing right now, right?
Mhm.
So this is a chance and opening a crack for what we've all been here to do is ground and be of service in the highest, aspect of love. And this is the peace. We are on a peace mission. I am on a peace mission. That is my highest intention here is to
Mhm.
bring peace to this planet in whatever the way that is.
Mhm.
So that was kind of a channeling, but I really speaking to those who are on the same mission. Many of us, of course, found each other on Facebook. Yay! But
Mhm.
we're ready for something else that I'm also working on an important project, community project.
Yeah,
The
talk
next
about
phase, yeah, the next phase of Facebook for me is community.
it.
I
Mhm.
want a place to meet people, see people, interact in a decentralized way. There's no, control. There's no drama. It's us working together. And so I have been co-creating a new community offering to be launched fairly soon. We might put something up on 4-4. We're working on that. But it's really for all of us. It's a cooperative. It's for, a place for content creators and tools, and you own your own data. And, why can't we be paid for our data? We're moving into a much more sovereign system. We all want freedom. We all want sovereignty.
Mhm.
What does that look like? Right? How are
Mhm.
we going to all interact?
Mhm.
And, I was talking about that earlier. Look at it, look at what's happened in our community. I'm exchanging, lemons for bread. I mean, people are giving things away. I have toilet paper, I've got, that's the new commodity, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I have a few rolls if anyone's desperate. Um, I mean, we've really come together, and that's typically what happens. Humans need some tragedy to come together to really know what's important. And we've had to come to terms with what's really important to us,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so for me
I hope
now
we can
is,
shift that paradigm that we no longer
well,
have to create disease or
I
discomfort or
know.
pain or suffering in order to shift, whether it's personal or collective.
I will say that probably like 2014, 15, I started looking at the Akashic record of humanity. I wanted to know collectively what patterns were being run.
Mhm.
And it wasn't a surprise that the biggest one I found was trauma, core trauma of physical harm. Okay. And I think again, I talked about, the the humanity, the collective trauma of harm, of fear. And I've said this before, humanity has the whole group has PTSD.
Mhm.
So we remember, our souls remember, our bodies have a record. That's the Akashic record of Earth and humanity. So we
Mhm.
hold a lot of that data within our cells. And
Yeah.
that's also been a lot of moving that out on an energetic level. But now we're getting to actually physically move it out in this reality. So a lot of the work is done uh, in other timelines, and then it's brought in to run, so to speak. I came from a tech background, so I speak in
Same time.
software tech terms only because that is very similar. There's a similarity in a hard drive in the human brain. There's a similarity in run rate and how fast our computers are.
And I think a lot of people can understand it too.
Yeah, just
We know enough about computers and so forth and so on.
yeah, we're just
So how would somebody join this group of yours?
well, it's not up yet. So
Find you. Let me just like
yeah, they can
Valerie
find me.
Elster on Facebook.
Oh yeah, so I have a personal profile, a business profile. It's all under Valerie Elster, Akashic Mastery. I'm also on Instagram, so it's all under my name. You can find me in various ways.
Perfect.
And so once the community platform, we've been looking at ways, because really what's important is decentralized, right? Decentralized means that it's not all stored in a centralized server, which is most of what's out there now. Decentralized means that nobody has the data stored on their system. So a lot of us have been waiting for, oh, it's okay. That's a burning off.
Energy's moving.
They're totally moving. So yeah, so you can find me there. Like I said, we might start talking about the platform just to get people. We all want something different. I've been, talking about this for a while. So yeah, I think we're ready. A lot of us are ready to move off into a different, more supportive network. It's offline and online. It's not just about online. We all have to meet offline now. So yeah, that's where they find me.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful,
Right.
beautiful. Yeah. So is there anything else that you would like to say or speak over or leave the audience with at this time?
I think what came up for me when this all started was really trust yourself. Fear is it's a third dimensional construct. It's definitely an animal response, but be very clear on what you're fearful of. What is it? And it's not fear shaming. Somebody said on my post, there's nothing wrong with fear. It's of course a response, but the body is also on automatic pilot. Okay. So this is the distinction between, am I running something old in the collective? Am I tuning into the collective fear? Or am I trusting that I'm going to be fine and everything's going to be okay? So it's a balance between those two. And this is really the importance of going within, trusting your intuition, trusting your feeling, really having a very clear understanding of who you are. So that's what I would like to say, because that's the most important, right?
Yeah.
Keep the peace, because we're holding the field. Hold the field so everybody else can go, oh wow, she's all quiet and calm and meditating and she thinks it's going to be fine. So okay, let's just, right? Let me tune into that. So pull people into your peace, right?
You can pick your station, you guys.
Pick your station. Pull people into your peace.
And it doesn't mean shove down what you're feeling. Like I didn't shove down at all what I was feeling earlier today. I totally acknowledge it and embrace my inner child and embrace the parts of me that are in agreement with it and embrace the bits of the story that I already know. And at the same time, I wasn't feeding it.
That's important, right? Because, and if you have tools, use all the tools you have, whatever it is, or reach out to somebody for help. This is the time to, to move through any limiting patterns, limiting behaviors, old stories, right? Let those stories go.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, I'll leave you with that.
Perfect. All right, you guys, tomorrow we have, I believe we'll probably continue talking about all of this that we're still on, because randomly enough, Carrie Ann is on, and Carrie is a Reiki mother. She's a Mama Earth creator. She is a galactic
great.
And she's your own university coach. So I'm really excited to share this beautiful, beautiful woman with you, like I was and am to share Valerie with you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. So welcome. It was such a joy to have you on. So everybody, please join us again at 1:11 Alaska time, 5:11 Eastern, and everywhere in between.
Woohoo! Woo!
tomorrow. I think the show is going to continue until April 10th. That's what
Perfect.
it's feeling like and looking like for right now.
Great.
And
Thank you.
contact Valerie if you'd like,
Yeah,
right?
if you
And
have any
contact
questions.
me if
Yeah,
you'd like. We are
awesome.
here for you to serve you, to give you a hurrah or give you a session.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to
All
you
right.
soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Bye, everybody.